Hey, it feels different, right?
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Fantasy Sports for season 4. Last week I said I was going to get two guests on the episode, and unfortunately my buddy is in Buffalo, so that will be happening next week. I know I keep saying that I'm going to get people on and it just keeps not working out, but unfortunately that's just how college is, and I am excited for that. We're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs. Obviously they're not super decided yet, but the plan's going on right now. So we'll be able to talk about that and talk about the matchups and all that. So that'll be exciting. But I figured for today, obviously with the draft coming up in 7 days, I would talk about my first, I would say maybe like I'll talk about the top 5, top 6, however many picks I feel like until it's, it just doesn't feel like, I have it written down right now, my top 10. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to start this, and I'm excited to see what goes on in the draft. I know I'm definitely excited for all the moves that are going to go down. I know Marvin Harrison and the wide receivers are big talk, and the quarterbacks. But obviously there's a lot of positions that people still need to fill with the defensive side. So I know there's not a lot of superstars like there was in the past couple years, with the players going top 3. But I'm still excited. I'm still excited to talk about what I have today. And I feel like right now is the time to talk about Caleb Williams, obviously with the number 1 pick. I feel like the Bears have done a pretty good job setting themselves up to position themselves for a player like this, obviously trading Justin Fields in the offseason to the Steelers. But just given what they've done in the past couple seasons, getting DJ Moore, getting Keenan Allen, and getting DeAndre Swift and the linebackers and the defensive additions, and re-signing Jalen Johnson, it's definitely something that I think is special. I think a part of the culture they're building is so unique. It's because the team is so young, but it's so developmentally, or not developmentally, but it's so ready to take on this competition, especially if Caleb Williams pans out to be what he is. He's 6'1", 214, and I think the best things about him are obviously his arm strength, his ability to be inside the pocket and be a magician. And I think with him, it's just this infinite upside that you can see in a player. And I think that's why he is the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, I mean, you could say Drake May, who is my number 2. I mean, he's a big, strong, physical, play caller. And he has, again, infinite upside. But I just think right now where Caleb Williams at is his instinctual ability to get on the ball and be able to make a play is above every other quarterback, that's available in this draft. So I definitely see Caleb Williams going number 1. I don't think there's going to be much contention for that. I do like Jayden Daniels though, and I think Jayden Daniels is a special talent, and I really like a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft. Michael Penix Jr. is really good, and Drake May looks very, very set for an exciting season. But with my number 2, obviously Drake May has that shade of Justin Herbert, and he's pro ready frame, and the way he sets himself up in the pocket and his arm strength again allows him to be so instinctually aware of the pocket, and ability to read defenses is unlike anything else. And I think that's what's so important about him. And I think that's why you could argue he could be the number 1 pick, because his frame and his high-end arm and just the way his ability to throw, not on the run as much as Caleb Williams. Obviously, we've been, like I said, Caleb Williams is a magician. You could call him a trick shot artist if you'd like. But he just has that ability to be the next quarterback. And I think, if anything, the Commanders need a quarterback, and I think that's the reason why I have him going number 2. I don't think there's much to be said about the fact that Jayden Daniels could go at number 2 as well. Like I said, I love him as a player, but I just think right now Drake May is the number 2. And then for number 3, I have a trade going on. I think more or less the Vikings need a quarterback, and I think they're going to go get Jayden Daniels. I think Jayden Daniels is a player that has the ability to be the best quarterback like a lot of these guys do, and I think at the end of the day it's going to be one of those things where the picks just wind up panning out where they are, and people will look back and say, oh, they should have taken this player exactly like Mahomes. But I think Jayden Daniels is special. I think Daniels is going to be able to hit the ground running if he goes to Minnesota, especially with the talent they got in Addison and Justin Jefferson. And I'm definitely excited, an LSU guy, fitting right in there with Justin Jefferson. So I'm excited to see what they do. And I only predict this is just because I don't think the Patriots are quarterback ready. I don't know where they are necessarily in terms of their team. And I do think, obviously, they want a quarterback. And I'm not saying that they don't need a quarterback. I do believe very strongly that they do. But I just don't see them taking a quarterback in the first round. I know the new head coach, Mayo, has talked about taking Drake May, but I just don't think he's going to be there at 3, and I think that's ultimately why I have them trading this pick. Just because I don't think if their guy's there, I don't think they're going to do what they did with Mac Jones and wind up taking someone on a reach. And then for the 4th pick with the Arizona Cardinals, I feel like this is kind of a blatantly obvious one. They're going to wind up taking Marvis Harrison Jr. He's clearly the best wide receiver in the draft, given how many good wide receivers are in the draft. And, like Malik Neighbors, who's my number 5 pick to the Jets. But I think the thing about Marvin Harrison that is so impressive is just his ability to run. Although like Malik Neighbors might be a better route runner in terms of like statistics, I think Marvin Harrison, his change of pace, his change of speed, and the way he moves and contorts his body is extremely different from anyone else at his size. He's almost 6'5". He's a heavy wide receiver. He's young. He's only 21. And so I think he's definitely a talent that the Cardinals need, especially as they have the young players in Trey McBride and a young quarterback still in Kyler Murray. They definitely need him. And I have Malik Neighbors, like I said, going number 5. I'm going to the Jets just because I feel like the Jets are going to wind up trading up. I think right now is all-in time for the Jets, and I think they have the 9th pick right now, or the 10th pick, and I believe they'll just wind up trading that up. I don't see the Chargers really in a spot here to take anyone that's going to significantly impact their team. I think their team is young, like I said, or like is given. Obviously with the removal of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and now having the wide receiver they took in the first round, as well as getting rid of Eckler. I think they're going to wind up trading back just simply because they're going to wind up getting more picks. I don't think they need a necessarily top 5 talent in this draft, especially with how bad their team is going to be next year. I think obviously the sensible thing for the Jets to do is to keep the 10th pick and take the best offensive lineman left. But I think the better move for them is to take this trade and move up and get an all-in on offense type of deal where they have all units just focused on Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and whatever receiver they wind up choosing, if not Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. And that's my next pick, Rome Odunze. I think obviously if this trade winds up happening, I think the Giants go out and get a wide receiver. I think they're still solid on Daniel Jones, and I think with Neighbors and Marvin Harrison off the board, I think Odunze is a prototypical number 1 wide receiver, and in a lot of fashions that he is a guy that you like to see play football. Speaking of basketball. But he's really good in high leverage situations, and he's really good at running. And I said that more about Marvin Harrison, but when you watched him in those big games, especially with Michael Penix Jr., his ability to not only cut through the middle but run deep on the sides is something that gives him that edge over certain wide receivers. And I believe in third down situations and the red zone is where he's going to be most important. And I think that's where they're going to wind up using him the most, just because of players like Jalen Hyatt and Wandale, being there for the short yardage and moving the chains, and obviously Devin Singletary, the new addition on their team for the running back. But I'm extremely excited to see where those 3 wide receivers wind up going, if not in that specific order, in whatever order they wind up going. What the analysis from the teams are. For number 7, I have the Titans taking Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Obviously, they had a fantastic offseason. I think them taking Joe Alt is just proving that they're, bolstering their already really good offensive linemen. They added Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard. I think the thing about Joe Alt and, Peter Skronsky also, who they picked last year, I think Will Levis can make a legitimate jump this year, and I think they want to go all in on the offense, which is why I'm giving them the pick of taking, an offensive lineman, just because I feel like they're currently moving all in on him, and this would just be the last, little bit that they need to really make that offense super, formidable for the next coming years, especially with all the young players they have right now. Focusing on the Falcons, obviously they made some splashes, signing Kirk Cousins, Darrell Mooney, and getting Rondale Moore. But I think one thing that they're missing is a lockdown corner right now, given that they have Terrell, what's his name? The Clemson guy. I can't think of his name right now, but number 24, and obviously AJ Terrell, sorry. I think him and Terrion Arnold, defensive back out of Alabama, pairing well together, especially with Jesse Bates and that line that they have, is just going to be so unique, especially with the fact that they now have this extremely talented young team. They got Drake London, they got Kyle Pitts, they have Bijan Robinson, they have a really good quarterback in Kirk Cousins with a good offensive line. They'll have, like I said, Jesse Bates, Grady Jarrett, strong offensive players on the linebacker position. I think they have a Luakon, right? I could be wrong. He could be on the Jags. But they have strong players on the backside and the front side, and those putting two corners that are strong on both sides, especially with AJ Terrell and Terrion Arnold, would be something very, very especially for the division they're in. Just having adding a little piece on defense is all that can really take to make them obviously clearly win that division. I think they're going to take that out, but move forward in the playoffs, especially with the young team like I've said before. Looking towards the Chicago Bears with their 9th pick, I wasn't sure if the Jets had the 9th or 10th, but they did have the 10th, and they traded to the Chargers. I see them taking an offensive lineman. It's been a problem for Justin Fields. It's been a problem for that team for a while now. I think they take Olu, the tackle out of Penn State, Fashanu. Obviously, Braxton Jones has been sideline left tackle since the team drafted him in 2022, but the Bears have a chance to make a significant upgrade at that spot by drafting this player out of Penn State, and I think he has an all-around skill set, and I think that's one of the best things that you can take out of a offensive lineman, is someone that is not maybe specifically great in one thing, but all around can learn to be very good at everything, and that's what I like a lot about him. I think Caleb Williams and him, not Caleb Williams, but it gives the Bears a long-term answer for Caleb Williams is more specifically what I'm trying to say. Given I do think the tackle out Oregon State, who's my next pick, Talais Fuaga from Oregon State, like I said, I think the Chargers need to do exactly what everyone expects a Jim Harbaugh coach team to do, is draft for the trenches, and he's a plug and play brawler at right tackle, and it makes a lot of sense, especially with Rashawn Slater on the left side. I just think it fits that team. I think more or less they're not going to be looking for that big time offensive addition. They're going to be looking for these pieces so that moving forward, probably in the next offseason, they can really work it out and try to figure out what they want to do with that team. So I'm super excited for this draft. Like I said, I think regardless of what winds up turning out, I think these are the top 10 picks. I think if anything really, really changes, I would see the Patriots maybe not trading their pick. I really strongly believe if they don't get Drake May, they're going to wind up trading back and trying to take J.J. McCarthy. I just see that being a move for them. But I'm really excited to see where those wide receivers and those quarterbacks go in the top 10 picks, given all the offensive linemen and defensive players. But I'm very excited for this. And I do think the edge rusher out of Alabama might slip into the top 10. I'm not sure yet, just because I don't know if any team really needs an edge rusher in the top 10. I thought about it especially with the Falcons, just because I obviously gave them a corner and they already have AJ Terrell. But I just don't think they need an edge rusher right now. I don't see them minding focusing on a player like that. But like I said, super excited, and it's only a couple days away. So let me know what you guys think, if I did anything wrong, if my predictions were a little too bold, but I'm very strong set in what I believe, and I hope you guys appreciated it, and I hope you guys will appreciate when I finally do have guests next week. I promise I will definitely have some guests on, and I'll be able to talk to some more people about the NBA. So as always, thank you for watching, and tune in next week on Wednesday.